just gotten worse.
Whoa.
And Lopez responds.
It's fire sale time. So with the escapades from the now DFA'd Jorge Lopez, along with the fact that the Mets are 22-33, 6 back in the wild card, 2-8 in their last 10, I think it's time for the Mets to get ready for a fire sale. So in this video, I'm going to put together some trades, try to bring back some prospects to Queens, and let's see if we can turn around the LOL Mets. For the first trade, I have the Mets sending Harrison Bader to the Royals. The Royals had a fun offseason, and they're seeing the results. 35-22 as of right now. They're 2.5 back in the division. They're having a good start to the year. However, they're not getting a lot of production in center field. Kyle Isbell not having a great year at the plate, only hitting .220, a .267 on base, a .348 slugging, a 71 WRC+. Harrison Bader would be a big upgrade for them, and he's having a good bounce-back season at the plate, hitting .275 with a .331 on base. You know, sure, the slugging is a little low at .353, but a WRC+ of 103, combined with the good defense that he has in center field, this would be a nice addition for the Kansas City Royals. So in this deal, I have Bader going to the Royals, and back to the Mets, they get Tyler Gentry. Now, Tyler Gentry at the moment is the number 9 prospect in their system. Had a really good season a couple of years ago in 2022 where he hit .326 with a .964 OPS. The numbers dipped a little bit last year. Still had a strong on-base percentage of .370, and the numbers have dipped yet again. But this is a guy who has 5-tool ability. When you take a look at the grades, he's got a 50 hit, 50 power, 50 run, has a very good arm out there. I think this would be a nice all-around player for the Mets to add. Let's see if the Mets could get him back on track. I think this would be a good deal for both sides. Up next, I have the Mets trading Jose Quintana to the Red Sox. My Red Sox are off to an interesting start this year. They get a .500 record at 28-28. They're 2.5 back in the wild card, so they're not out of it by any means, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Red Sox do by the deadline because, yeah, while they are trying to compete, they also have an eye on the future as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe they buy, maybe they sell, maybe they do a little bit of both. I could see them making some small additions to help fortify the team to maybe try and make a run in the second half for a wild card spot. And someone like Jose Quintana, I think, could be a decent addition for the rotation that just lost Garrett Whitlock recently for the year. They've had Cooper Criswell rolling in the 5 spot, and he's been pretty solid for the most part, but that's a guy you could move into more of a swingman role, and someone like Jose Quintana, a veteran guy, and a lefty as well, that you could maybe, use for the Red Sox, I think could be a decent addition. Now, Jose Quintana, when you take a look at the numbers, I mean, they're not great. 11 starts, ERA above a 5 right now, FIP not much lower at a 4.82, but also one thing to point out with Quintana is he's had 2 bad starts that really inflated that ERA. He had the 1 start against the Rays where he went 2 2/3 and gave up 8 earned runs. He had 1 start against the Giants where he gave up 5 earned runs, but every other start has been pretty solid for Quintana. But that's where Andrew Bailey comes in. Andrew Bailey has done a great job at getting the most out of his guys. Now, Jose Quintana, one thing that's worked well for him this year is his sinker. That has been a productive pitch for him, but Andrew Bailey has done a great job working with these guys. Look at what he's done with Tanner Houck, Cutter Crawford this year. Those guys have taken major steps forward with Bailey in the fold. I mean, Cooper Criswell. Who thought Cooper Criswell would be decent this year? But I could see him working his magic with Quintana. The trade that I have put together is Quintana, who has a negative value right now, along with some cash. The Mets will most likely have to pay some or the rest of that salary for this year if they want something in return. So in this deal, Quintana to the Red Sox with cash. Back to the Mets is Angel Bastardo. Now, Bastardo, as of right now, is the number 26 prospect. He's an interesting pitching prospect. He's got 4 different pitches that he works with. His best pitch is his changeup. He's getting some decent numbers this year. Last year he had 24 starts, ERA at a 4.68. ERA is down a little this year to 4.38, but this is a guy that could give some good organizational depth, has a bit of ceiling there, so that could be a good piece for the Mets to get back. If you wanted to sweeten the pot a little bit, maybe you can add another prospect, maybe someone like number 16 prospect Nathan Hickey. He's got a lot of raw power from the left side, or maybe you could do someone like Edinson Polino, has the upside of a super utility guy. That could be a nice piece for the Mets to get back. Nico Cavadas, this is a guy who used to be a higher prospect for the Red Sox. But this year, he's bouncing back nicely. He's got 10 home runs, a 561 slugging, strikes out a lot, but this is a guy with a lot of power as well. So, maybe the Red Sox, they can work in one of these guys. I think Quintana for the Red Sox could be a decent move. Up next, I have the Mets trading Luis Severino and JD Martinez to the Brewers. The Brewers are off to a great start this year, 32-23 as of right now, leading the NL Central. But if there's one area that could use some improvement, it is the starting pitching. As of right now, 25th in Fangraph WAR. The starting pitching is dead last in innings pitched. It feels like they're barely getting by with this rotation. Sure, Freddie Peralta, we all know how good he is, but 2 through 5, it feels like they're just scraping by. Robert Gasser, very excited to see what he can do, but at the end of the day, he is just a rookie after all. You got Wilson, Rea, Tobias Myers. I feel like they could use something else, and especially in a playoff series, someone alongside Freddie Peralta I think could go a long way. And Luis Severino, it looks like this year he has really found himself. 10 starts, ERA at a 3.22, FIP at a 3.79. Strikeout to walk ratio doesn't look amazing, but he's really doing a good job at keeping the ball in the yard, a 0.6 home run per 9 rate. Love that. Luis Severino, I think, would be a great addition for this rotation, and alongside with him would be JD Martinez, having himself a decent year so far, hitting 271 at 113 WRC plus. But I think this would be a good veteran bat to put in this Brewers lineup. Now, this Brewers lineup this year, it has been very good. I mean, they're getting a lot of production. They're a top 5 offense at the moment, but JD Martinez would really solidify things here. Christian Yelich, you can put him back out in left field. Jackson Chourio can go play some center. Sal Frelick can go out to right. Blake Perkins can take more of a bench role. And then JD Martinez can be your DH. This would be a very good lineup. Really would solidify that. So in this deal, JD Martinez, Luis Severino, and cash with JD Martinez's contract going to the Brewers and back to the Mets. I got Brock Wilken and Bradley Blaylock. At the moment, Brock Wilken is number 5 in their system on MLB Pipeline. This is a guy with a lot of power, 45 hits, 60 power. Now, probably more likely going to be a first baseman down the road. He can play third, but just he doesn't move around as well, so first base is probably going to be the better fit for him. I mean, last year had an 887 OPS. He's had a 700 OPS so far this year through 26 games, but this would be a really nice power bat for the Mets to add in their system. And alongside him, we got Bradley Blaylock, their number 17 prospect. This is a guy with a good fastball curveball, 55 fastball, 55 curveball, and he's had good numbers the last couple of years. Last year, 15 starts, 2.82 ERA, and this year so far in Double A, 8 starts, a 2.70 ERA. I think this would be a really nice package for the Mets to get back. Brock Wilken, he's got himself a bit of value here, the number 5 prospect, so I'm not sure if the Brewers would be willing to give him up. And of course, there's the argument where you trade these guys separately. There's always teams looking for bats, so maybe JD Martinez can go elsewhere, but I do love the fit of Severino for the Brewers. And last but not least, I have the Mets trading Pete Alonso to the Mariners. As of right now, the Mariners are in first place in the AL West with a record of 31-26. They're up 3.5 games on the Texas Rangers, but if there's one thing this team could use, I think they could use a little more pop in this lineup. As of right now, they are 23rd in slugging percentage. So yeah, someone like Pete Alonso would definitely help. Every year in his career, besides 2020, the shortened season, he's had over a 500 slugging, and he's having a decent year so far. The numbers are a little low. Slugging is a little low compared to his career average at 453, but he's got 12 home runs, a 120 WRC plus. He will definitely help improve this Mariners lineup. And like I said, I feel like they could use another bat here. Sure, Cal Riley's going to bring some power alongside with Julio Rodriguez, of course, but it just feels like they need something else. Ty France, he has not really had a great year overall this year. He's only hitting 243, a 378 slugging, so they could use an upgrade there. So the trade that I have here, so Pete Alonso going to the Mariners and going back to the Mets, I have Ty France, who could be a player for the Mets next year as well, since he is under control, along with a couple of prospects. Jonathan Clase leading the way here, along with Emerson Hancock. Jonathan Clase, this is a legit power speed threat. I mean, take a look at the numbers from him last year. I mean, these numbers are ridiculous. He had 79 stolen bases in the minors last year with 20 home runs. I mean, my goodness, this would be an awesome addition for the Mets. You know, so far this year, he's got a 482 slugging and 858 OPS overall. He's got 4 home runs, 12 stolen bases to go along with it. This could be a legit guy for the Mets down the road. I would love this. And you also got Emerson Hancock. Remember, he was drafted back in 2020 in the first round. You know, hasn't fully found his way. I mean, so far, you know, through the minor leagues, he's got some below average numbers, but there is potential there. He did start some games with the Mariners this year. Not great results overall, you know, but this is a guy who's got some decent off-speed stuff. He throws a lot of strikes, so maybe he could be a piece for the Mets down the road. But again, I think the Mets, if they could get Jonathan Clase, I mean, that would be huge. I would love if the Mets could somehow pry Tyler Locklear in some kind of a deal like this. That probably is not going to happen in this deal. Tyler Locklear, this is a guy who's just been putting up great numbers in the minors. I think this is a guy who's going to be the future first baseman for the Mariners. If the Mets could somehow get him, I mean, that would be an amazing piece. I think that might be a little too much to give up. But Jonathan Clase would be a nice piece to get. If not the Mariners, there will be some other teams out there that should be interested. Maybe the Royals, who we mentioned earlier for Harrison Bader. They could definitely use more production at the designated hitter spot. That would be a great addition for this lineup. You know, maybe a team like the Cincinnati Reds. They've really been lacking offense this year. They've had a lot of injuries. He would be a nice addition, especially at the DH spot there. Maybe the San Francisco Giants. Jorge Soler has not worked out this year. Pete Alonso would definitely give them some more thump in this lineup. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. What kind of trades do you have in mind for the Mets? Do you think the Mets should even have a fire sale? I would imagine most Mets fans out there think it's time to probably just get rid of everyone. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know the trades that you would like to see down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now, everyone. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.